Thank you very much, Umang, and my sincere thanks to Umang and Manisha who included me in this course. I always like to do something different. Whenever I'm asked to give a didactic, I present cases, and when it's case presentation, I'm presenting a didactic talk. I thought I'll bring everyone's attention to something which you probably have just been hearing about. It's Microsporidia, which is something like a parasite or a fungus. We yet don't know what exactly it is. So I'm going to talk about microsporidial keratitis. It's unusual. Maybe after this presentation you might recall cases that you've seen who fit into this picture and didn't know what it was. Now that if I see a patient like Rajiv showed, so probably I'll think of something related to tuberculosis. But so this should sort of hope I'll take you through microsporidia. So it's a parasite which was first recognized more than 100 years ago. It's been there for a while in systemic infections. It can cause several systemic infections, including some life-threatening ones. But coming to the eye, it presents most commonly in two forms. One is the punctate epithelial keratoconjunctivitis, which when I take you through, you'll realize that you've seen such patients. And the second one is stromal keratitis. It can also cause, and it has been reported as a cause of endophthalmitis, cause of scleritis, but these are very rare. And sometimes after retinal surgery, it's been identified as a cause of infectious kind of scleritis, but they are just case reports. So there are certain, so the microbiologists have tested this further, and they saw that gene sequences suggest a closer relationship to fungi rather than to a parasite like amoeba. So the jury is still out, and they don't know exactly whether they should put it in the fungus genome or in the parasitic genome. And it also shows some kind of response to antifungal agents, so that is good news for us at least. Earlier, keratoconjunctivitis was predominantly reported in the immunocompromised status, like in patients who have AIDS, but now we see it very often, and especially in the immunocompetent population. And stromal keratitis has been almost always reported in the immunocompetent patients, and it's not patients with immunocompromise. So what about punctate epithelial keratoconjunctivitis? It's almost closely, very, very close to what we see with adenoviral keratitis. So whenever we have an epidemic of adenoviral keratoconjunctivitis, we see that the punctate lesions on the epithelium, and we just sort of label this disease. Earlier we used to label this disease also as the same as adenoviral, but then it has certain differences. So this particular outbreak was reported by our center at Bhubaneswar, and they saw that in just about 3 months, there were patients who were swimming in contaminated water in a particular area, or they also gave history of some house dust falling into the eye, and they were all coming with epidemic, what looked like conjunctivitis, but the lesions looked slightly different. So what are the clinical features? So here the typical clinical features that the patient has a non-purulent form of both having papillae as well as follicles, especially in the lower tarsal conjunctiva, that is hallmark. And what you see on the cornea, a little different from what you see in adenoviral. So you see coarse punctate epithelial lesions. The best description that I can give, because I see patients with uveitis, is that you have granulomatous keratic precipitates but sitting on top of the epithelium. So if you see something like that, that is what you have in microsporidia. So this is a patient of mine who went to, we call it holy dip keratitis or holy water keratitis. So the patient typically goes and takes a dip in one of the rivers or something like that, or use of contaminated water. For example, patients who travel on trains, and there's a typical history, they use the water from the tanks in the trains. And the third common history of trauma is when they clean their houses or they wipe the ceilings and stuff like that, and dust falls in the eye. So these are typical history of patients who have that kind of contamination in the eye, and they come back with this microsporidia. So you see these coarse, very discrete but coarse lesions which are sitting on top of the epithelium. The lesion itself may not really stain, but there'll be staining around it. And if you take scrapings from those lesions, you can isolate microsporidia. This can be seen very well, just like how you see fungus under the fluorescent microscope, because it will fluoresce. And this is the other eye of the same patient. So the good part is that this will heal totally. There's a new paper which suggests, from my colleague, which suggests that it may heal even without scraping. But in order to hasten the relief for the patient or to improve the recovery, so what I usually do is tend to just gently debride the epithelium which has the lesions, the colonies, and maybe put a bandage contact lens for a few days or ointment and antibiotics. and the patient will respond. Earlier days, we used to try and get Brolene ointment or oral albendazole, but all of these therapeutic agents are not required. So it is innocuous, it heals totally, and even if you leave the patient alone, it will get better. A few patients may need topical steroids because there may be a little inflammation associated with it. The other aspect is that people have also found that patients with adenoviral conjunctivitis can have this coexisting. So sometimes it's a mixed picture. Coming to the second part of the infection, that is stromal keratitis. Now this infection is more serious in terms of vision debilitation, in terms of not responding to treatment. So it is not innocuous at all. Though it occurs in immunocompetent individuals, it has such a slow insidious course. And the other problem is that it can mimic most of the other deep form. It can look like HSV keratitis, it can look like mycobacterial keratitis, or even fungus, for example. And the commonly misdiagnosed top two differentials that we have are either we call it HSV or fungal, and we have treated it for a while on those lines. We've had history of patients who presented with so-called corneal scar for years together, but then later on it turned out to be microsporidia. So the initial 22 cases we published, and then what we had was that the duration of symptoms ranged from as short as 20 days and as long as 4 years. 4 years was the patient who was diagnosed as corneal scar and underwent an optical keratoplasty, and in the keratoplasty specimen we saw these lesions. And we had a history of trauma present, not in all cases, in only a few of them. So many of these patients were initially diagnosed as either fungal or HSV or bacterial or just a scar, or there was no diagnosis prior to us seeing the patients. So is there a classical clinical appearance? Like in fungus you have hyphae edges, in HSV you have the typical appearance of the ulcer. So do you have anything classical? Unfortunately, no, but most of them present as deep stromal infiltrates. They may or may not have endothelial exudates. One couple of patients presented with a desmetocele. Most of them seem to have full thickness infiltrate and so on. So there isn't any classical presentation. And some of the less common features that we noted were scarring, vascularization, and perforation in one patient. So this is one of the patients who has this sort of a corneal abscess, a deep stromal infiltrate, was initially diagnosed as fungal because of these sort of extensions or these hyphae-looking edges. This is another patient who has a very well-rounded, circular, large area of corneal infiltrate, central thinning, went on to develop a desmetocele and had to undergo a tissue adhesive. And again, you cannot really differentiate and say whether this is bacterial. It doesn't look clearly bacterial because it doesn't look so angry and aggressive. Is this viral? For viral, this kind of large infiltrate also doesn't look typical. This is another patient, again came in with entry diagnosis of fungal keratitis, and we agreed on that, but scrapings did not reveal fungus but revealed microsporidia because the patient had satellite lesions as well, and we thought this was fungal keratitis. This patchy reticular appearance, again we thought this is fungal keratitis, but this is a patient who had history since the past 1 year, was using steroids off and on, and this was the appearance as soon as he took the patient off steroids because the inflammation flared in. So luckily, the lab diagnosis is not very difficult once your microbiologist is trained to look for it. So on gram stain, they can see oval gram-positive spores. The same thing can be seen on KOH chalcophlorite, and it can be confirmed by it's 1% acid fast, and it has a distinctive diagonal band. So those of our microbiologists who are trained about systemic microbiology see this organism all the time. What about histopath? Again, luckily it's very hallmark. It has typical rice grain-like spores located both within the cells, around the cells. That's what you're seeing, these small little rice grain-like particles which are seen on both routine stains as well as special stains. In fact, with special stains it can look very pretty with all these microsporidial spores lying within the layers of the cornea. And what is the treatment? The bad news is that nothing medical works. We've tried everything. We've tried anti-parasitic agents like PHMB and chlorhexidine, which we typically use for acanthamoeba. It doesn't work. Oral albendazole, because that has been reported for systemic infections due to microsporia, but that also doesn't help in the eye because the concentration would not be achieved there. And especially if the lesion is posteriorly located, which it often is, many of these patients receive steroids because of the diagnosis initially of HSV, and the whatever drug you have will not penetrate that deep. So if in our series, only one case, which was very anterior, responded to so-called medical therapy, but actually we had to take 5 scrapings from that eye in order to get the diagnosis. So probably that itself was more like a therapeutic scraping, and this was that patient where it became a scar. So what do you do for these kind of lesions? This is a patient I showed earlier who had history for the past 1 year, was using topical steroids for initial diagnosis of HSV. We thought it's fungus, turned out to be microsporidia, just worsened in front of her eyes, and therefore we did a penetrating keratoplasty for these patients. So therefore the only definitive treatment for them is penetrating keratoplasty. People have done deep lamellar keratoplasties but have had recurrences because the spores are located very close to the Descemet's membrane. So DALK may not work that well. And this is a case which we reported which actually shows that the spores had penetrated and gone into the anterior chamber, a little typical like what you see in fungal keratitis. So the outcomes can be very good of penetrating, extremely good in fact, of penetrating keratoplasty. It can behave almost like an optical keratoplasty, provided you use a very good tissue, because immediately after surgery you can start these patients on topical steroids. So is there any diagnosing criteria? Probably if you have a very slowly progressing, very long-term history, and initially you think it was HSV but looks a little different, and therefore there's no characteristic picture. Generally it's a single focus but can have multiple foci also. And if you just leave it alone, so slowly it will melt the stroma. And in some cases it can just lay dormant and behave like a corneal scar. So therefore to conclude, it is rare, it is still rare, but it's probably missed. So it's not as rare as we think it is. Probably we don't think about it. And also our microbiologists or histopathologists may not be trained to see it. And the hallmark feature, basically there's only one hallmark feature, that it has a very long history. You cannot think of any other corneal infection that is still affecting the cornea months to years going on. And the medical therapy is not effective, therefore you need to do surgical and probably PKP and not DALK. Thank you.